Hey everybody, good morning. Today we are going to bend some clay to our will, and we're going to start your first project. So the things we're going to accomplish today, we're going to practice ram's head wedging. You're going to record and submit a short video of your hands ram's head wedging. I'm going to introduce your first project, demonstrate how to begin it, give you some work time, and then you're going to submit a picture of your progress for today. So 2 assignments you'll be uploading to Schoology today. First, why do we wedge our clay? I'm going to pause the video here and I want you to tell me the 3 reasons from your notes. Now I'm going to give you the opportunity to practice ram's head wedging. I'm going to play a short video for you demonstrating how to ram's head wedge. Then I want you to get a softball-sized amount of clay and practice ram's head wedging with that amount of clay. If you're at home, do this wedging on your wedging cloth that you've taped down to your workspace. If you're at school, do your wedging on one of the wedging tables or even at your assigned seat. So after you watch the video, you're going to record a short video of yourself wedging your clay from the side so I can see what your hands are doing and what the clay is doing. Feel free to practice as long as you want before you record. So the first thing you always do with your clay is, especially if it's multiple pieces of clay that you kind of like grabbed and packed together, you got to slam those pieces together. Okay, so you just do that a couple of times just to really pack everything in tight. Now, the 3 reasons that we wedge to mix our clay, we wedge to pop any air bubbles that are in there, because an air bubble could cause your pot to explode in the kiln, and that's bad. And the other reason that we wedge is to dry out our clay. Now, my clay today is extremely dry because I've had it here at my house since last trimester. So I'm not going to wedge very much at all because the more this dries out, the harder it's going to be to work with. But the clay that you have is probably really wet. And in fact, if some days it's too wet, then you just wedge extra because the more you wedge it, the more it's going to dry it out. So I'm going to take that clay and to ram's head wedge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the heels, the palms of my hand, and I'm going to push that clay away from me. And then I'm going to turn the clay back and push it away again, and turn it back and push it away again, and turn it back and push it away again. And eventually, once you kind of get the motion down, you can do it more quickly. And the reason this is called ram's head wedging is when you do it right, which I would say this is not necessarily right. It should look like a male sheep's head. You got eyes, you got a mouth, and then it's actually spiraling the clay. So the 2 edges should look like they're spiraled, like the horns of a ram, like a male sheep. This looks a little bit like a demented ram, but still a ram. So that's the process. Ram's head wedging. Push it away, pull it back. And as I was doing that, you could see my hands were kind of cupped around the sides. That's so it doesn't flatten out too much as I'm wedging. So I'm pushing away, pulling back. So you only really need to do that maybe 5 to 10 times. Record a video from the side, like you're seeing me working from the side here. And that's going to be one of your assignments today. Just show me, to prove to me that you can ram's head wedge your clay. Okay? That's assignment number 1. I'm going to pause the video here so that you can be reminded of the steps of what you're doing for this assignment. If you're at home, you're going to do this assignment on your canvas wedging cloth that you taped down to your table. If you're at school, you're going to do this assignment either at your assigned seat or at one of the wedging tables in the room. I'm going to pause the video here until you're done. Great job wedging. So now I'm going to introduce what you're going to do for your first project. Your first project is the sleeping creature lidded jar. So we're going to take some pinch pots, which I'll show you how to make in a moment. We're going to put those pinch pots together and you're going to put them in a configuration so that they turn into a creature, whatever creature you want. It can be a real animal, it can be a monster, it can be your own invented creature. It's really up to you. But we're going to cut a lid from this creature so that it could actually be functional. You can put things in here, and it's going to have a removable lid, and it's going to be curled up in this cozy little sleeping position because we all need that comfort and coziness right now. It's a way to kind of connect to being warm, with all that snow that just came down out there. It's a way to kind of think about those comforting moments when we're all snuggled up and warm. So your creature is going to be sleeping. And there's also a logistical reason to have your creature sleeping. If it's sleeping, its body is a lot more compact. It doesn't have lanky legs or flapping wings. So it's actually a lot easier to make if it's curled up in a little sleeping position as well. So that's the other reason why I want you to make your creature sleeping. Here are a few more examples, and I know that these aren't jars like our assignment is going to be to make a jar, but these are still good examples of different animals that you could make for this assignment, all nice and curled up tightly in a little cozy sleeping position. And if you're interested in making your animal into a planter instead of a lidded jar, you can absolutely do that. It's still going to be made in the same way, and actually you're still going to make a lid because that's part of the assignment requirement. It will have to have a lid. But then after you fire it and after you glaze it, you don't have to use that lid. You could turn this into a planter that could actually grow a live plant in it. So that's an option as well. I know some of you said in your question that you answered about why you were excited about taking ceramics, some people said they were excited about making a pot for a plant. So that's an option for this project. So what I want you to think about right now is what kind of animal would be meaningful for you or for someone you love? Because remember, what you're making could be a beautiful gift for someone. So if your mom really loves cats, maybe design something that could be for her. If your grandpa really loves to go bass fishing, maybe you could design a fish. So this doesn't just have to be for you. You could think about other people in your life. But when you're trying to think of an animal, I want you to think of 3 different animals, 3 different ideas that you could do for this project. And think of animals that are somewhat compact. So a giraffe, for example, would not be a good animal to do for this project because they have such big, long, lanky legs and big, lanky necks. So something that's more compact and able to be simplified or abstracted would be helpful as well. It should have a body that could be made from a large egg shape. Like all the sketches I did here all have bodies that are more or less like an ellipse or an egg shape, and they all have heads that are kind of an egg shape. So those kind of animals will be easier to do for this project. Short-necked animals will also work better. I gave the example of a giraffe or like a flamingo. That would be really pretty hard to do for this assignment. So let's keep it a little bit more manageable and choose an animal that's more compact, has a round body, round head, and a short neck. Those are going to make your choices a little bit easier. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I want you to take 5 minutes to sketch 3 ideas in your notebook and sketch them up near the top of your paper, please. They don't have to be big sketches, and they also don't have to be perfect. I don't expect these to be gorgeous shaded sketches if you don't want them to be. I just want to know what you're thinking. So assignment number 2 today, after you've taken the notes, you are going to be creating 4 pinch pots, and I want you to create very specific sizes of pinch pots. So I have my softball of clay that I've wedged now. I'm going to divide that softball into 2 tennis balls and 2 golf balls. So to the best of my ability, and it's okay if they're not exact. So these 2 are going to be my tennis balls. And then this is going to be, these are going to be my golf balls. And actually these are pretty bigger than an actual golf ball. So I'm just going to redistribute this clay a little bit. And then with each one, I'm going to pack it back and forth in my hands until it is rather spherical, a nice perfect ball, or relatively perfect ball. So I'm going to do that with both my golf balls. Or is this more of a lacrosse ball? Hard to say, I don't know. It's a little bit bigger than a golf ball. Okay, and then I'm gonna do that with my tennis balls, pack it back and forth. It's just easier to make this into a pinch pot if you start with a sphere. If it's a weird wonky shape, it'll make a weird, wonky pinch pot. And for what we're going to end up making with this, we want to have a pretty nice round shape. Okay, all right. So I have my 2 tennis balls, and I have my 2 golf balls. Okay, so now I'm ready to start actually making a pinch pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the small ones. So I'm going to take one, and I'm going to take my thumb, and I'm going to stick it pretty deep into that golf ball. And then between my thumb on the inside and these 2 fingers on the outside, I'm going to pinch. And then with my other hand, I'm going to turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn. I'm trying to give you the best possible view here. There we go. Pinching and turning. And I'm gradually working my fingers from the bottom up toward the top as I'm pinching and turning. And as I'm doing this, you can see how it's starting to turn into a little bowl, a little pinch pot. Now, once I've made my way all the way up to the top, you can see I've made a little pinch pot, but it's kind of fat and it's kind of like thick walled yet. So now I'm going to go in with both hands, both thumbs are inside, and I'm going to just pinch out and thin out the walls a little bit. Not too much, because I don't want it to become weak. The thinner the walls get, the more weak they become. You can see my clay is starting to crack a little bit right there, but clay has this ability to blend. So if I just take my fingertip and blend it in a little bit, those cracks just melt away. So I'm just trying to thin it out. You can see how the bottom is round. Sometimes when kids make their pinch pots, the bottom ends up being really flat, maybe because they're working on their table as they're doing the pinching. So keep this up in your hands and it's less likely to flatten out. And just make sure you're pinching all the way from this bottom area and then just work your way up toward the rim, okay? So here's pinch pot numero uno. Now I'm going to do that with my other golf ball of clay. And I'm going to speed this one up because you already saw me do it the first time. Now, the ideal scenario is that these 2 golf ball pinch pots are about the same shape and size so that we can end up putting them together to create a part of your first project. All right, so we're not going to put them together today. We're just making the raw materials today. So these were the golf ball pinch pots. Now I have my bigger ones, my tennis balls, and I'm going to make 2 pinch pots out of these as well. So same process. I'm going to stick my thumb almost all the way through, and I'm going to pinch starting down at the bottom. I'm going to work my way up toward the top. This is bigger, so there's going to be more patient working of the clay up the walls, up toward the top until I get that thick, fat pinch pot. And now I'm going to spend a lot of time with both hands really trying to thin that out. So this is going to be a much bigger shape because you're slowly stretching the clay platelets little by little by little by little by little. And if you stretch them too much, the little clay platelets are going to rip right apart from each other. And so that's why we go in really small little pinches, small little increments to try and stretch out that clay a little bit at a time. Okay, so here is the pinch pot that came from tennis ball number 1. You can see it really is bigger than the golf ball sized one. So there's number 1. Okay, and now I'm going to do the second one. And I'm going to speed this one up. Look how fancy I am. I have one of those makeup lights for makeup tutorials on YouTube, except I don't use it for makeup tutorials. I use it for clay tutorials. Much more interesting. All right, so here is my second tennis ball of clay, now made into a pinch pot. I got some cracks again there, so I'm just going to use my finger to blend those in. Don't worry too much about cracks and things like that at this point. Eventually, we're going to be putting our pinch pots together, as I mentioned, and we're going to have a chance to fix all the little wrinkles and things like that that are the imperfections. We'll fix those later. So these are the two tennis ball pinch pots. Those are going to be put together like this. I have my two other pinch pots. Those are going to be put together like this. And so what I have here is the basis for my sleeping creature. We're going to be slipping and scoring and melding. That's something you're going to learn next week. We're going to be slipping, scoring, and melding these together so you have a hollow sphere, and this is going to become the body of your creature. We have these two pieces that are going to be joined together into a smaller hollow sphere, and this is going to become the head of your creature. And then we're going to be joining the body sphere and the head sphere together, and then adding other features like tails or wings or beaks or whiskers or ears or whatever it is that will suit the kind of creature that you want to make. So this is as far as you're going to go for today, though, making these 4 pinch pots, 2 big ones, 2 small ones. When you've made your 4 pinch pots, place them on your notebook on the same page where you did your 3 animal sketches. Snap a picture and upload it to Schoology today for 20 points. So really important that you wrap these up well, because we need to keep the clay workable until next week now. And so if you are at home doing these 4 pinch pots at home, take your wood tray, the one that you got in your swag bag, put your pinch pots upside down so they don't roll around. Get a paper towel, run it out under some water, and then squeeze out every bit of water that you can so it's just damp. We don't want it drippy. And then take that damp paper towel, wrap it over your pinch pots, slide it into a plastic grocery bag, like a Target bag or something, and then just leave that at your workspace till next week. I'll be telling you the next steps, what to do next week. If you are at school doing this, you are going to be taking these pinch pots home, because this is going to be a home project from now on. So half the kids already have this project at home, but if you don't have it at home, here's how you get it home. Take your 4 pinch pots. You're not going to do the paper towel thing. You're just going to wrap your 4 pinch pots carefully. You can put the little ones inside the big ones. That would be just fine. Wrap them up in a plastic bag like this. And then over by table number 1 in my classroom, which is also kind of over by the double sinks, there's a whole bunch of empty ice cream buckets. So grab yourself an ice cream bucket, make sure it has a lid. I don't have an ice cream bucket, so I'm going to use this bigger bucket. And I want you to get a whole bunch of plastic bags. Plastic bags are under the ends of almost all the tables in my room. There's a lot of plastic bags in some bag holders at the ends of every single table. So get yourself a couple plastic bags and start by making a little nest of plastic bags in that bucket. And then carefully put your pinch pots in that little nest, and then put more plastic bags on there. We want to really cushion and keep these things safe, and then put the lid on that ice cream bucket, and then take that home with you today. So you're going to get to keep this ice cream bucket at home. You can use it to bring your pinch pot creature back when you finished working with it, because you are going to have to bring it back when you're done. But you're going to be able to keep this bucket temporarily to be able to safely bring your project back and forth to school. Just make sure it's really cushioned with a lot of plastic bags in there, okay? That's how you're going to keep your work safe, whether you're at home or whether you're at school. So I'm going to pause on this slide now so that you can remember the steps I just showed you of how to make your pinch pots. When you are done making your pinch pots, you're going to place them on your piece of paper where you did your sketches and take a photo of that for 20 points. So just to recap for today, you practiced ram's head wedging and you recorded a short video of your hands wedging a softball of clay and uploaded it for 20 points. You sketched 3 ideas for your sleeping creature project. You made 2 large and 2 small pinch pots. You photographed your 4 pinch pots on top of the paper with your 3 sketches and uploaded it for 20 points. And you wrapped your 4 pinch pots in a plastic bag the way you were instructed, whether you were at home or at school. And that's it for today. Great job. I'll hopefully be seeing you soon.